Hi, I'm Brian Lovell, and I'm here at Georgia Piedmont Technical College, where we've just installed a new control center in their C building. This control center interfaces with their existing HVAC and refrigeration programs. If you'd like to see more, come on with me. Okay, so welcome to our central control station. This is where all the information from the programs in the buildings, both this building, C building, and the B building, which we've already looked at with Mr. Kroom, all the information that comes from those programs winds up here in our central control station. Now, we just installed this, so you can tell we're still setting things up, but we have control panels here. We have displays, two displays. Behind me is the air conditioning program over there, and we'll look at that in just a minute. But to get started, let's take a look at what's in the refrigeration program and the sustainable technologies. Hi, this is Brian Lovell again, and I'm standing in the refrigeration program at Georgia Piedmont Technical College. And if you look to my right, you'll see what you typically see in a supermarket. You see all kinds of displays that keep products at a specific temperature. All of this has to be controlled through control systems, which a lot of folks don't know about. If you'd like to see a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes, come on with me. I'd like to show you one of the mechanical rooms for a supermarket control center. Now I'm standing behind the scenes now. This is what you typically don't see when you go into a supermarket. This is called a rack, and this is completely controlled with CPC control systems, which is a manufacturer that's common to the supermarket industry. But it boils down to just inputs and outputs like any other control system. In a supermarket, let's just say a Walmart Supercenter or whatever your favorite supermarket happens to be, they would have dozens and dozens of what are called compressors. These use a lot of energy. We have 3 compressors here, all controlled by our CPC control system. We monitor temperature, we monitor pressure, we monitor refrigerant flow rates, and all this information comes back over the network and is made available either to your cell phone or a computer system or the data center, which we just installed here at GPTC, which we'll show you in just a minute. Another common piece of equipment that you have in supermarkets and in restaurants, for that matter, are walk-in coolers and freezers. I'm standing in front of a freezer, a walk-in freezer, and a walk-in cooler. And if you look behind the scenes, this particular walk-in cooler has a couple systems, one on this side, one on this side, and we added more than one for training opportunities for students. But they're all controlled, again, you guessed it, by controls. So we control the temperature in this particular walk-in cooler, and we can also monitor all of this information back at our central control station. And so here again, we're in the world of controls. Now here's something else you use every day, or just about every day, if you like a cold drink, and that is you get ice from an ice machine. This is a typical ice machine that you would find in a supermarket, or in this case in a training program. It's all controlled by control systems, and if you look closely, you can see we can monitor energy, consumption, water usage, and download any amount of data that we want as long as the unit has been tracking that information. This information can also be networked back to our central control station. And of course, while we're doing it, we can load up with a nice cold drink. So one area of controls that you might not think about, but is very pertinent to what's going on in the world today, is cryogenic storage. Whenever research is being done on viruses like the COVID vaccine viruses, and those biological organisms need to be stored, they're stored in what's called cryogenic freezers. And behind me here is a cryogenic freezer. And the way that the temperature is maintained properly is through automation and controls again. And you're starting to see how automation impacts just about any high-tech industry out there. This is a cryogenic freezer that goes down to minus 90 degrees Celsius. And if you open it up, it's not operating right now, so we're safe to open it up. There's a temperature sensor, and that temperature sensor monitors current conditions while the unit's running to make sure that those biological organisms that are being stored are stored at the proper temperature. I'm standing outside the C building at Georgia Piedmont Technical College, and this is what we call the Green Technologies Training Pad. And behind me you see two 2,500 gallon water harvesting systems. These were installed as a student project over a decade ago. And when we get 1 inch of rain off of the roof, you see the 4 downspouts which are connected to the tanks. These tanks fill up with 5,000 gallons of water. And that water is used to flush all the toilet seats in the C building and have done so for over a decade now. We monitor the level of water in those tanks by pressure controllers that are at the very bottom of the tank. You can't see them, but they're at the bottom of the tank, of each tank, and that tells us down to 1/4 of an inch how deep the water column is in each of those tanks. Over to my left, you see, you probably recognize solar panels. We have 2 different models of solar panels, each with a 4-panel array. And what you might not recognize are solar thermal systems. This is an evacuated tube solar thermal system. These actually pay back customers faster than any other type of solar system. If you install a system like this on your roof to heat your water, you can get the payback within 3 to 5 years, where typically with solar panels it might take 15, 20, 25 years to get your entire payback on your investment. So you guessed it, both of these types of systems as well, controlled by control systems. Both the water harvesting tanks and the solar panels here, you see an inverter. This is tied back to our control system, so we monitor how effective this solar panel is in generating electricity, collecting photons from the sun and turning it into usable electricity. And on the evacuated tube, we can put sensors, we don't have any currently, to monitor inlet and outlet temperature of the working fluid as the sun heats the fluid in the evacuated tubes. So I'm standing in the HVAC program at Georgia Piedmont Technical College, and I'm standing in the light commercial section of the laboratory. These units have been used for instruction for quite a long time in the program. We have a couple units over there, we've got one here. You might see these in a large ranch residential building, or you could see them in a church or on top of a rooftop. But the key thing that I'd like you to notice is we have sensors on these as well. So recently we've updated the controls on these systems so that we can monitor and see what's going on as far as energy performance, temperatures, pressures, etc. And again, we're in the world of controls, even on residential and commercial, light commercial systems, as are shown here. So now we're still in the same HVAC laboratory, but we're in the residential section of the laboratory. And this is another common type unit that you might see in a residential installation. Again, we've added sensors for monitoring and control so that we can see what's going on when we're not home or when there's a problem that needs to be resolved with a customer. Automation handles that for us. To my left, you see another type of system. This is a little bit older control system for a zoning system in a home. So if you have multiple zones, an upstairs, a downstairs, critical temperature spaces that you need to maintain, a system like this, another type of control system, would be installed in a residential home to make sure that you get what you want, okay? And all the systems that you see as we're walking back in this aisle are just typical residential systems that also are now in the world of automation. Automation is becoming a very widely needed skill set across multiple fields, as you can see now. So that concludes our tour of the air conditioning laboratory, and thanks for joining us today to look at all the various programs which are being impacted by the world of automation and controls. It's a true ecosystem of career pathways. Automation is touching virtually every high-tech career out there, and I hope that the tours today brought that point home to you as the viewers at home and triggers your mind to some potential career opportunities that you might like to pursue. So as you can see behind me, we're still setting up the Data Central controls, and I've got a lot of work to do to make sure everything works the way it's supposed to work. So I'll say goodbye, and we'll see you at the next episode.